Let's be brutally honest, nobody expected this game to feel like a heavyweight fight. Egypt versus Iran, a match that was already controversial before a single ball was kicked. They called it the Pride Match. Neither team wanted that label. Neither team wanted to share a pitch with the other. And yet, what unfolded inside Seattle Stadium on June 26, 2026, in front of 66,925 fans, was one of the most jaw-dropping, nerve-shredding, emotionally brutal 90-plus minutes of this entire World Cup. A game that ended 1-1, a scoreline that tells you almost nothing. Because here is the thing about this match, it wasn't just a draw. It was a roller coaster of moments that could have gone either way. A penalty missed at the worst possible time, a disallowed goal in the dying seconds that ripped a nation's heart clean out of its chest, and a crossbar strike in the final breath that left an entire stadium in stunned silence. This was not a football match. This was a psychological thriller, and we are going to break it down play by play, moment by moment. Egypt came into this game having already done the hard work. They knew a draw was enough. They knew their passage to the round of 32 was practically secured. But knowing you can afford to draw and actually playing with that kind of calm intelligence, those are two completely different things. And this Egyptian side, led by a 34-year-old Mohamed Salah, making his 5th World Cup start, more than any Egyptian player in history, came out firing from the first whistle. Minute 4, Egypt win the ball high up the pitch. Salah receives it on the edge of the Iranian area. Even at 34, even with a yard of pace taken by time, this man's brain operates at a level most footballers never reach. He spins his marker, drives into the box, unleashes a shot. Iranian goalkeeper Alireza Barenvand, the same man who kept out Belgium just days earlier, throws his body at it, blocks it, but the ball breaks loose. Trezeguet is there, first to react, and Barenvand punches his follow-up away. The ball falls to Mahmoud Saber. And Saber, a midfielder, not a striker, not a man you'd typically look to in this moment, doesn't hesitate. He smashes it first time, through the goalkeeper's legs, into the back of the net. Minute 5, Egypt 1-0 Iran, the fastest goal in Egyptian World Cup history, and Seattle erupted. But if you thought Iran were rattled, think again, because within 60 seconds of conceding, Iran were already pushing forward, and just 5 minutes later, in minute 10, referee Simon Marciniak pointed to the spot. Mohamed Abdelmonem caught Mehdi Taremi inside the area. It was a foul, no question about it, and here is where the story gets complicated. Here is the moment that could have flipped this entire match on its head. Mehdi Taremi stepped up to take the penalty, Iran's captain. Their all-time leading scorer in World Cup history, the most important player on this team. The Olympiacos striker placed the ball, took his run-up, and Mostafa Shobeir dived to his right and saved it. A brilliant stop, a moment of pure goalkeeping courage. The Egyptian goalkeeper becoming only the second Egyptian keeper ever to save a penalty at a World Cup, joining the legendary Essam El Hadary, who did it in 2018. And the crowd absolutely lost their minds. Iran missed their penalty. Egypt are still winning. Game over? Absolutely not. Because Iran, a side that had not lost a single match in this entire tournament, unbeaten against Belgium, unbeaten against New Zealand, and now refusing to break here, poured forward again. And in minute 14, Milad Mohammadi unleashed a low shot that looked destined for the bottom corner. Shobeir made another stunning save, but the ball fell to Ramin Rezaeian at an angle that should have been impossible. An angle so tight, so sharp, that most professional footballers would have blazed it into row Z. Rezaeian did not blast it, he placed it. Somehow, impossibly, he curled the ball into the top left corner. Iran 1-1 Egypt. And Rezaeian, who now has 3 World Cup goals, more than any Iranian player in history, became the man at the center of this story. Let's stop here for a second and absorb what happened. We are 14 minutes into this match. We have already had a Salah-inspired opener, a penalty save, and a goal from an angle that defied logic. The XG at this point, the expected goals model, the metric that tells us how many goals the data said should have been scored, already had this game at 0.3 for Egypt and 0.94 for Iran. In plain English, the numbers said Iran should have been leading. The save on Taremi was the single most important moment of the first half. The second half opened like Egypt had made a point to themselves in that dressing room. Salah was everywhere in the opening 5 minutes after the restart. He set up 2 clear chances for Trezeguet in the first 5 minutes of the second half alone. And on another night, on a different pitch, Trezeguet slots at least one of them. But the Iranian defense held. Baranvand, who had that wobble in the first minute, was now commanding his area with authority. Iran had an XG of 1.94 by the end of this match, the highest in their entire World Cup history, higher even than their famous clash against the USA in 1998. They were creating, they were pushing. They were not a side settling for a draw. They wanted 3 points. Minute 57. Hassam Hassan makes the call that no Egyptian fan wanted to see, and every Egyptian fan deep down understood. Mohamed Salah is substituted off. 57 minutes, his fewest ever in a World Cup match. The crowd gave him a standing ovation, because even in limited time, even in a game where he didn't score, Salah's presence altered the entire game. He created the first goal. He occupied 3 defenders every time he touched the ball. Even Omar Marmoush, Egypt's shiny Manchester City signing, who was dropped from the starting assembly after a flat group stage, couldn't claim that influence. Salah played 57 minutes and left a permanent mark on this game. And then came the chaos, the absolute madness of the final 10 minutes. Egypt defending, Iran pressing, the crowd sensing something was about to break. Minute 89, Mehdi Taremi, the man who had his penalty saved earlier, who still had unfinished business in this match, met a cross in the box and his header crashed against the crossbar. Not in, not a goal. The woodwork saved Egypt for the first time, but Iran kept coming. Stoppage time, 3 minutes added, and then in the 93rd minute, as the clock was ticking toward what looked like a 1-1 final, chaos in the Egyptian box. A set piece floated in. The Egypt defense fails to clear. The ball falls to Shoja Khalilzadeh at the back post. He fires it into the roof of the net. Iran 2-1 Egypt. The Iranian bench exploded. Players were sprinting off the touchline. Thousands of Iranian supporters in the stadium were on their feet. Had that goal stood, Iran would have not only won the match, they would have leapfrogged Egypt on goal difference and advanced to the round of 32 as group runners-up. Egypt would have dropped to 3rd place. The group table would have been turned upside down. But then came the pause. The earpiece, the VAR review, the lines drawn on a screen in a control room, and after agonizing seconds, the flag. Offside by a sleeve, by literally the width of a sleeve. One of the most brutal VAR decisions you will ever see at a World Cup. A celebration erased, a dream deferred. Iran 2-1 Egypt did not exist. It was still 1-1. And Iran, who had played better football, who had dominated the XG, who had hit the bar, saved their best player's penalty, and then had a winner ruled out in stoppage time, were left to stare at a scoreline that felt like the cruelest sentence the game could hand them. 3 minutes after the disallowed goal, Rezaeian found himself yards from goal with a chance to win it legitimately. An Egyptian defender flew in and blocked his shot. From the corner that followed, Ezatolahi's header beat the goalkeeper and crashed off the crossbar for the second time in 3 minutes. The woodwork denied Iran twice in the final 3 minutes. Twice. The full-time whistle went. Egypt 1-1 Iran. Here is what this result means. Egypt advanced to the round of 32 as Group G runners-up. They will face Australia on July 3rd at Dallas Stadium. And they did it by making history, becoming the first Egyptian team ever to advance past the group stage at a World Cup that featured a traditional group format. In 1934, they played in a knockout-only structure. This is different. This is a watershed moment for Egyptian football. Iran, meanwhile, finished with 3 points from 3 draws, unbeaten against Belgium, unbeaten against New Zealand, unbeaten against Egypt. They became only the 3rd Asian nation in history to finish a World Cup group stage unbeaten, joining Japan in 2002 and Korea Republic in 2002. And yet they don't know their fate. They are currently one of the best 3rd-place teams, but they must wait and see if other results fall their way. Amir Galanoe, their head coach, was visibly devastated after the final whistle. He spoke of bad luck and brutal conditions, and he was not wrong. The final numbers tell the story with cold, statistical precision. Iran had 13 shots to Egypt's 15, but Iran's XG was 1.94 to Egypt's 0.81. Iran created the better chances, Iran had the higher quality opportunities, and Iran walked away with 1 point. In a different universe, one where Taremi's penalty goes in, where Khalilzadeh's winner isn't ruled out by millimeters, where the crossbar doesn't intervene twice in 3 minutes, Iran win this match 2-1, and everything changes. But football doesn't live in that universe. It lives in this one, and in this one the score reads 1-1. Egypt go through, Iran wait. The drama was absolute, and if this is the standard of football the 2026 World Cup is delivering, we haven't seen anything yet,